أهلا وسهلا في قناة الحياة مع التوحد. اليوم في عندنا حلقة جديدة مثل ما وعدناكم. احنا راح نجيب ناس من أخصائيين من مختلف التخصصات في العالم، ونحكي عن موضوع علاج التوحد وآليات علاج التوحد، وإذا في برامج علاجية جديدة إنه احنا نقدمها لمنطقة الشرق الأوسط كبرامج علاجية يعني ناجحة وفي خلفها يعني أبحاث علمية معتمدة. اليوم في عندنا منظمة اسمها منظمة جيمناي. منظمة جيمناي بتشتغل على نظام الفيديوهات المنمذجة. هاي فيديوهات موجهة للطفل نفسه وبنفس الوقت موجهة للأهل بحيث أنه هم يزيدوا من المحصول اللغوي عند الأطفال. البرنامج جدا رائع. احنا جربناه في الأكاديمية وعملنا بحث عليه على 37 طالب، كانت نسبة النجاح فيه أكثر من 76%. فهو برنامج يعني احنا حابين أنه احنا نقدمه لمنطقة الشرق الأوسط كبرنامج علاجي. احنا اليوم معنا أحد الأعضاء اللي أسسوا البرنامج العلاجي، براين كاسبر. خلينا نحكي معه شوي ونخليه هو يعطيكم فكرة بحيث أنه أنتم تسمعوها من المصدر نفسه يعني. How are you, Brian?
Hi.
I hope you enjoyed your visit to the Middle East.
Yes, it's been great.
We want, to introduce something to the Middle East to be unique and at the same time something that will bring value to the treatment of autism. And once we heard about, Gemini, and we contacted you, and we started doing the study in the academy, we saw a lot of results. Can you, tell the people and explain to them what is Gemini and how does it work?
Well, first off, Gemini is a highly scientific approach that uses much of what we've learned through research in neuroscience, in education, in speech therapy, and in behavioral therapy, and have applied all of that to video teaching and video modeling, which has a long history in science as well. And we've put all of that together to be able to deliver now a very effective therapy tool over the internet.
Okay, well, this is an American organization. How do you think an American organization can help families in the Middle East? How can you reach, somebody, for example, in Saudi Arabia or in Morocco?
The ability to reach every child in the Middle East is easy with the internet. We've got connectivity throughout the Middle East and North Africa. But the bigger question is why we're here, which is a personal mission for us. It's a corporate mission. When we founded Gemini, our mission was to reach every single child in the world that had need. We started in the United States where we were. News quickly went to Europe, and English-speaking users were using it in Europe, we're using it in New Zealand, we're using it in Australia, we're using it in South Africa. And as we saw, there was tremendous need in the great languages, in Spanish, in Arabic, in Chinese, where a vast amount of the population was, and where we could focus our energies and hit nearly 1 billion people by working in those 3 languages. We knew that Jordan has an excellent reputation for autism care, and so we looked to Jordan to be a center on where we could work with Arabic-speaking therapists, Arabic experts, and reach out to all the Middle East and North Africa. So this is fulfilling a mission we've had for a long time, and we're really happy to be here.
There's one question I think, a lot of people actually, just thinking about it right now. How can you provide service for, a treatment of autism over the internet? Would that actually, be possible?
We're part of a growing trend in medicine. For years now, the internet has become a bigger and bigger tool. The great centers in the United States a decade ago started using iPads and tablets to do diagnosis, where doctors bring them directly to the thing. In the United States, many of the great hospitals offer telehealth, where a person can be sick at home, can call into a doctor over the internet. The doctor can diagnose them, give them a prescription, and that prescription can even be ordered over the internet and delivered to their home. Wow. This is the way things are being done. I know that there are radiologists who will take scans, and with difficult scans, will share them with doctors. If they're in Los Angeles, they'll share it with a doctor in New York. They'll bring in specialists from England, all over the internet. In special needs therapy, the ASHA, which is the American Speech Hearing Association, which covers all of the speech therapists in the United States, has allowed for and recommended telehealth, where a therapist can be in a different city and treat a child over the internet directly, speaking directly to them over a Skype-like device, and provide therapy by telehealth, and they've approved this since 2005. So all of medicine is traveling this way, and with one of the most powerful tools we use, which is video, we can deliver that video the same way by the internet. So it's very exciting. If we step back even further, the biggest challenge to global healthcare is twofold. It's overcoming financial barriers to care, and it's overcoming geographic barriers to care. Many people in the United States who are in farm areas have no access to specialists. Of course, if you live in a big city like New York, or a big city like Amman, or a big city like Riyadh, there are therapists. But if you live in a farming community in the state of Oklahoma, or if you live in a farming community in the south of Jordan, there's no access and no therapists. So overcoming that barrier to care is what telehealth is all about, and what Gemini hopes to do. It's the reason why our dream and our mission of reaching every single child in the world is possible.
Where does Gemini actually get its power from? I mean, what is the strongest point in Gemini?
Well, number one, our power comes from science and from research. Everything we do has to be research-based, and we've taken many things that we've learned, and the research community has learned in the behavioral sciences and speech sciences and neurology to keep tailoring and improving our product. So we know, for instance, that starting in the 1970s, doctors had researched whether or not children with special needs could learn from video. And there have now been hundreds of studies performed that have shown that actually for tasks that are repetitive, video can often teach better than a live therapist. Now, a live therapist does many things better than video can do, but all of the repetitive therapy work, and that's a vast majority of work being done in autism, these studies say can be done as well as a live therapist. And more importantly, for some neurological reason that scientists don't yet understand, video seems to stick. And video seems to allow a child to generalize. So in many studies, and in studies that have been conducted on Gemini, a child will learn a subject, and when we come back 3 months later and ask the same question, they know it. Which is surprising, because as you know, in special needs, there are many times where a child will learn something and they'll backslide and they'll lose it. And then they'll learn it and they'll lose it. With video, there seems to not be that loss. So that's very exciting. So we've taken this science of video modeling, and the science is so established that the American National Standards Board for Autism has declared video modeling as its highest level of established proof. It is now beyond doubt by any professional that video modeling works. It's accepted, established science. What's interesting for us is that it was so established that people started to do research into whether the age of the model mattered. Did it matter if it was a small child? Did it matter if it was an adult? Did children learn more? They looked at if perhaps videoing the child doing the task might teach someone. They looked at many different perspectives to film at, but the one thing they didn't look at was, what if we changed the filming technique? What if we filmed in a way that was tailored specifically to the way special needs children learn? And we know a lot of things about the way special needs children learn. We know that many special needs children have a very difficult time taking in external stimuli. Children have a very difficult time looking at human faces and reading human faces. The children have a very difficult time sitting, or actually even aligning what they hear with what they see. For many special needs children, if you've ever looked at a movie that's been dubbed in another language and the lips don't match the sound, that's the way the whole world can look to a child.
So basically you're hearing something, but at the same time, while you're looking at the movement of the mouth, it's not,
Yes.
it doesn't move along.
It doesn't move along, so it's very hard to mimic that. If I say a word and the sound you're hearing isn't matching the movement of the lips, it becomes very difficult to match what I'm doing. So we work on helping the children take that audio stimulus and the visual stimulus and pair them together. That's part of the tactic of this video. And what was very exciting to us is once we changed the filming technique to match the way children learn, we then did a scientific test to see, we knew video modeling taught well and was established science. How well could we teach with our new filming technique versus the established video? And we went into a very poor school district in the United States with children who had none of the advantages that many children have. And we tried it. And we took one classroom and taught them words using standard video modeling, and one classroom using this new enhanced filming technique, which Gemini has developed. And then we took those same groups and we crossed them over, which is a standard scientific design. And when we did that, we saw that by changing the filming technique, we actually taught children 300% faster. 300% faster. So children who may have learned quickly with video already could learn 3 times as much. And that's an extraordinary gain. You know, in most science, there'll be improvements of 10%. And that's exciting, an improvement of 15%. This was an order of magnitude higher. And we have seen that replicated now in other studies.
Through the cases that you have, worked with a lot of children, I mean, with Gemini, did you see any success stories? I know you are all about science, and I know that you particularly interested in the science part of Gemini. But as a parent as well, did you see success stories that you can actually share with us?
Yeah, well, and one thing I do want to share is Gemini was designed at first as a technique, and it was designed by my wife when we were doing therapy in my own home. I am a father of 2 children with autism, and when my son was 3 years old, a table bigger than this table full of specialists came and told me that he would never speak, and that there was nothing I could do for it, and that I should probably plan for him being in an institution by the time he was 10, and to not have any kind of hopes and plan for what would happen after I died. That was the message I got. So we studied what was available at the time, which was confusing. It's still confusing if there are parents now who just got a diagnosis. I understand the confusion, because there's a lot of information out there on things that you might not need to know about, and it seems like the questions you really want to know about don't get answered. But my wife in particular, when working with our therapist, and she speaks many languages and she's got some background in working with this, she developed this Gemini program. She improved video modeling for my son. And he went from, at age 3, he was trying to learn and it just wasn't clicking with traditional therapy. And once we added Gemini to traditional therapy, he said his first word the next day. And he kept learning, and now that boy who they said would never talk, it's now 16 years later and he's in college, and he's working alone in college, and he's first in his class in French. So not only does he speak in English, he's speaking French. He's speaking French as well, and he's a smart boy, and his passion is linguistics. He will write stories and make up fake languages in a very scholarly way.
So he moved from nonverbal to a specialist in linguistics?
Yes, in 16 years. Now this was a lot of hard work. As you know, you run a therapy center. It's a tremendous amount of work. But he is, since he was the person it was designed for, our longest case study. We've had other children, since we've been teaching the public, who were nonverbal, who now 4, 5, 6 years later are speaking in sentences, are in classrooms, are making progress. We see that, again, every child is different. Some children have much slower trajectories than others, but every child makes progress. So we've had a child, a very famous child from England who's an artist. Her name is Iris Grace, and she was nonverbal, and within 3 months of starting, she's a very famous painter, and now she can say her colors, she can say many of her things, she can express her things to her mother. And for us, some of the biggest stories, and it's me as a parent, is when, and we get thousands of these stories, when a child first says, "I love you," to a mother.
Yeah, well, that's something that everybody is actually waiting for.
Yeah. So we do have those stories, and I know as a parent that matters more to me than the science. But it's important also for the parents to know that when they go to a scientist, when they go to a specialist, that they can say to that specialist, "There is research." They can contact us. We can give them copies of the research, and to know that there's not only these anecdotal stories, but there's scientific proof. There are p-values, statistical analysis, and this research is all independent and published.
That's, I mean, those are great stories and, great examples that you gave us. As a parent, let's say if I'm, a parent with a child with autism, what do I expect? I mean, when I start with Gemini, what should I expect?
Gemini is a twofold product. We do two things. We offer you a very powerful tool, which is this video modeling, which will help your child learn and which will do many of the repetitive tasks over and over and over again without a therapist getting tired, without you getting tired. But we will also teach you about autism. We'll teach you, many people are confused. I was confused about things about autism. I had thought that there are many people I talk to that think this may be a spiritual problem, that there is a demon or a jinn that affects a child, which is completely not true. There have been people that thought it might be the parents' fault, which is completely false.
And I have encountered that a lot of, especially a lot of mothers, that they think that, if their son have autism, it's their fault.
Yeah, there's no fault
and
whatsoever.
And they feel guilty about it.
Yes, no, and that's the most important thing for them to know, that there are no magic pills, there are no magic prayers, you can say. There are no magic diets. Now eating a healthy diet is always good, but there's nothing that's going to instantly make your child better. Oxygen is not going to make your child instantly better. No pill is going to no herb is going to make your child better. Hard work by you and a therapist is going to make you better. So when you sign up for Gemini, you'll get knowledge, you'll get training, and you'll get these video tools to work with. What we like to say is that we are going to bring therapy to your house so that your house, the privacy of your own home, can be a therapy center. And like any therapy center, the quality of the improvement of your child is going to be the quality of the therapist. How hard does a therapist work? How invested is a therapist? How well does a therapist know your child? You know your child better than anyone.
Yes.
So as you know, as an expert, in order to make a child do something, you have to motivate them. I knew that my son liked trucks. If he didn't want to do something, I had a truck waiting for him if he did it. And this is no different than my other normal children. There will be things in Gemini that your child does not like to do. Your child may storm out of the room and say, I don't like to do that. Well, guess what? My child didn't like math, my other child. He didn't like doing math. I had to sit him down and make him do his math.
And you had to motivate him.
I had to motivate whatever it was. If he got an extra dessert at dinner, if he got a little extra money, whatever it takes to motivate him. So don't think of your special needs child as any different. We're giving you the ability to have a medical school that teaches him. And just like any other school, your special needs child might not like parts of it. But you as a parent are going to figure out a way to have him like it. And our specialists will talk to you. If you call up, you'll be able to speak to a therapist every week. And that therapist will answer your questions. We'll give you new tricks and techniques to do to help your child move forward developmentally. And then we'll custom make a therapy that will specifically help your child work on the things they need to that week. So if I signed up, I would call up, a therapist would answer my questions. They would talk about exactly where my child was, and we'd say, okay, we want to work on these 3 skills this week. I'm going to give you a video for these 3 skills, and I want your child to watch it 40, 50, maybe 100 times this week. That will depend on the severity of your child. And then I'll also give you tips. If I'm working on eye contact, what are little tricks to work on eye contact? If I'm working on teaching your child to play with a car, and this is, it sounds silly, but it's very important developmentally for him to say, vroom, vroom, and pretend play. This is a very important skill. How do I do that? There are tricks, therapists know tricks, and techniques, all studied by science. And the therapist will call you, they'll let you know that, they'll give you the video, and then the next week they'll talk to you and say, did they do it? Oh, if they didn't do it, let's try another trick. What did you do here? How did you approach him? Can we maybe change the room? Can we bring in a sibling to help? All of these things, you will have expert guidance the whole way through, which I wish I had had 16, 17 years ago when I had Max, because again, this is one of the things Gemini was designed to do, was to help remove the uncertainty, right? I knew I had a child who needed my help, but I didn't know what to do.
And that is a major problem, I think.
It's horrible. It's like seeing a sick child and not having medicine. And I think the wonderful thing about science, and your center does a great job following science like this, is as a parent, your child gets an autism diagnosis, and you think that everyone on the internet is telling you go here or go here or go here or go here, but science knows where to go. There is a road. There's a very clear road, and that road goes from a child who doesn't speak to a child who can maybe imitate you a little bit, to a child who gets good eye contact, to a child who wants to share information with you. These are important. Then to the first word, then 2 words, and then building a sentence. And it's a very clear scientific path. That, to me, was the most valuable thing in the world. Because now, if you show me the path, I'll do the work. I'll help get my child better. Give me the tools to make my child better, and now I have hope.
Which would empower the family actually to participate in the treatment of their children.
Yes, yes. And not just the child. When we had other children, we happen to have a family. I have 7 children. And we took all of our other children and we, like in the United States, in the Wild West, you'd put a badge on somebody and say, you're the police now.
You're the sheriff.
Yeah, so we took our children and we said, you're a therapist, you're a therapist, you're a therapist. We are working on the word under, for instance, with your brother Max. So if he asks you for a toy, I want you to put it under the sofa.
And they participated in
and participate. His whole day was therapy. He didn't know it. He was having fun with his brothers and sisters. He was talking with daddy. He was playing with mommy. It was all therapy. It was all scientific. So that's the path we're going to give you.
That's a great story. This is one of the most things that we believe in, is to empower families into participating with the specialist in the treatment of the children.
Yes.
And to know exactly what to do. And Gemini actually gives them that.
Yes.
By showing them those videos and working with them into making sure that they actually watch those videos.
Yes. Well, there's a saying in Latin that knowledge is power, and so we give knowledge. And you as a therapist know. And if we asked any therapist in the whole world this question, we'll say, you do some of the work in the center. How important is the work that the parents do at home? And they will all tell you, it's the most important thing they can do to support what we're doing. So you are critical in the development of what you're trying, and we are going to be there every single week to talk to you, to answer your questions, and to give you help. So I suppose my wife and I built what we had wished was there when we got our diagnosis. And now we just want to bring it to all the children of the world.
That's actually my next question. If somebody from the viewers actually just thinking about it, and if he want to imitate or make a replica of the story of your son, to make sure that he actually reaches college or to a normal life, how long do you think that would take? I mean, from a family or from a child, what is the time frame do you think that we can see actually improvement?
Well, we will see improvement immediately. In the first month, you will see some improvement. It may go. Now, this is not, your child will not be speaking in sentences the first month, but a child who may not have recognized any words, which like Max was, if I had said cup, he didn't recognize that what was coming out of my mouth had meaning. Okay. He just sat there. When I wanted him to say hello to people, I had to turn his head, I had to pick his hand up and wave and say hi. He not understood none of this.
He didn't participate in daily living
at all.
Anything.
At all. So the first step at that point, and we'll see progress. In our studies at the Academy, every child, even all the nonverbal children, recognized words, attempted to answer questions that first month. So one of the things I want to stress is this is a long path. It took us 16 years to get Max from nonverbal to being in college with the ability to live an independent life. What you have to understand, and I always bring this back to normal children, when I bring my child to preschool and he doesn't know his letters, I want him to get a job when he's 20.
Yes.
But I understand that I have to put him in school for 8 hours a day and do homework, make him do things he doesn't want to do, and work with him from when he's 5 to when he's 18 or 22. I have to work for 15 to 20 years to give him those skills. Your special needs child?
The same thing.
Same thing. So he may not wind up at the best university in the world. Maybe he will. Some with great intelligence might. But we put in a lot of hard work, and we use all of the science that we know and the science that will be coming down the road, which Jem and I will incorporate and all great therapists will incorporate. I'm confident that if we put in the hard work, our children will be able to live independently.
So basically, the family, what they have to do, just to go online, call the specialist on the other end of the phone,
Yep.
and they will design a program for you that your son can actually watch it on an iPad or any tablet.
Yes.
And
so,
the therapy just begins.
yes, technically, when you sign up, you'll get a login, a specific login for you. And if you called me, you would speak with a therapist, they'd answer all your questions. We have an online library of thousands of words in Arabic, and the specialist will decide what exactly we need to work with, and will create that video custom made for you, and will assign it to you on the internet. You log in, and you press play, and you put it in front of your child. And that would be on an iPad, it could be on a smartphone, it could be on a computer. Some people use the computers and put a wire onto a big television and have it on the television. Yeah, however you want to watch. And that will depend on your child. And the specialist will talk about this. My wife used it in the car. She would put it in the car because Max was sitting in his car seat. We forced him to watch it. Other people do it at dinner and put it up in front of the child. Other people, while the child is in a bath, will put it there. As much as you can expose your child to therapy, the more hours of therapy you get, the better your child will get. The more your siblings work with him, the more you work with him, the better.
And you will start seeing results, as he watches.
You will see results. And we will always have progress. The one thing I caution is don't look for spectacular progress. Don't look for, my child doesn't speak, 3 months from now he's going to say, "Hi, mommy, let's go to the park." That will not happen.
Yeah, your expectation
have to match your child, the reality on the ground. But we are moving forward, and I can tell you that your child, within a month or two, will recognize words. You can say, "Is that a cup or a spoon?" And he'll point to the right one. Then he might start saying, "Cup," for cup, which is a great start. And then we'll have him say cup. Then he'll say, "I want cup, please." And then he'll say, "Mommy, I want milk, cup, please." And this is the way we'll build it. And it's not within the realm, it's not out of the realm of possibility that within those first 12 months, we'll be working on skills like this with a lot of hard work from the parents. So yeah, I don't want to sugarcoat that. This is going to require effort from you, or from a caretaker, or from a sibling, or from a combination of everybody.
I saw, we made a research about, Jim and I, once we first heard about it, and, before we actually met, or we even, had, exchange of emails. And I saw the Facebook page with a lot of great feedback from families, a lot of mothers, saying that they saw, great results. When can we have this experience, in the Middle East, when we have it for the Arab world or the Arab, Arabic-speaking world?
Yeah, that's exciting, and that's why I'm here in Amman, is in order to offer it to people in Arabic, we had to film our whole library over again with Arabic-speaking children.
So you're doing everything that you did in English, you're just doing it over again?
Again in Arabic, yes. And so we have now filmed thousands of videos, and we have them online, and we're coming now to train the Amman-based therapists, because our therapists will be right here in Amman that will call. So if someone calls, they'll be speaking to a native Arabic speaker. We're training them right now, and we hope within the next month or two, certainly by the end of 2016, it will be available here.
Wow. That's great. I hope that that something really fast that happens in the Arab world. That's something that I think everybody is asking about it. We have a bunch of emails saying that I'm living in this area and I don't have a service near me. I don't have a center near me. What can I do? I think something like that, treatment over the internet, can have them like having a center in their own home.
Yes.
And is that your objective? Is
yeah,
that what you guys are doing?
And interestingly enough, it's not only here in the Arabic-speaking world where that happens. We have one state in the United States called Oklahoma, where the entire southern half of Oklahoma has no therapists. This is farm country. And the United States national government actually gave us a big project to build a tool to work with the farmers, especially, because that is the very need is to reach every single child, even the children far away from centers, even the child with no access to therapists. So yeah, that's exactly our goal.
Well, I wish you luck, and I hope that you will have the support of everybody in the autism world. You are doing a great job, and that's a great service Thank you for coming out, to meet us, and thank you for doing that, for everybody.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. مثل ما انتم شايفين او مثل ما سمعتوا من الاخصائي، احنا قاعدين نحكي عن واحد من افضل البرامج العلاجيه في العالم. انت مش بحاجه انه تكون في مركز مثلا مستوى كثير عالي علاجيا، انت تقريبا الخدمه صارت توصلك لبيتك على التليفون او على اي تابلت موجوده في البيت. بامكانك تنفذ واحد من اضخم البرامج العلاجيه للتوحد وانت موجود في بيتك، وتشوف النتائج مش بعد سنوات، لا بعد اسابيع او اشهر. واتوقع هاي خدمه احنا كنا كمنطقه عربيه احنا كلنا بحاجه انه نستخدمها، لانه المراكز مش متوفره في كل مكان. اولا، اثنين، التكلفه العلاجيه اتوقع انها كل ما قاعده بتزيد. اتوقع انه هذا بديل مناسب، ما اتوقعش انه هو كلمه بديل، حتى كلمه بديل صحيحه. اتوقع انه هذا برنامج علاجي جديد بحاجه انه يطبق. البرنامج العلاجي بلش من السبعينات، مش من اليوم، بلش من السبعينات وتطور وظل يتطور، لكن خلال اخر 14 سنه لما الانترنت وثوره الانترنت صارت، اتوقع صار بامكانهم انهم يرفعوا هاي الفيديوهات على الانترنت ويخدموا فيها العالم كامل. فاتمنى انكم تستفيدوا منها. اتمنى انكم تكونوا استمتعتوا بهاي المقابله وتكون فيها معلومات مثل ما انتم كنتم متوقعين. في المقابلات الجايه راح نشوف اخصائيين ان شاء الله من الوطن العربي ومن اوروبا وامريكا. انا زي ما وعدناكم راح نحاول انه نجيب لكم افضل اخصائيين العالم يحكوا في افضل برامج علاجيه معتمده ومدعومه بالابحاث. شكرا لكم واهلا وسهلا.